Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Hope everything is well. We're doing a TBR. This TBR is probably going to be for the next couple of months because I cannot read this many books in 1 month. Knowing myself, I'm still reading the same book I was reading last month. Let's not talk about it. Okay. Now, this one is a pretty controversial one, but I have to burp. It's one of those books, you know? I want to read Twilight. Don't kill me. I just want to read it, okay? I watched all the movies. I love Edward. I just want to see what he was like in the book rather than just the pretty bad movies. But they're not too bad. Like, I can withstand them. So, it'll be fun. 500 pages of Edward and Bella. Love, love, love. Next, I'm going to read Jack London's The Call of the Wild. I started this at the beginning of the year, but I never finished it. This book is about like a heroic dog who goes on an adventure. Not an adventure, more so a journey, because he goes through a lot of different like owners in this book, and he like gets lost and he faces lots of despair, I would say. So this book, I want to finish it just because I think it made a lot of people cry and I need to feel something again, so I just want to cry. So that's why I want to read this book and finish it, but it should be good. The next one is The Alchemist, and my brother read this one, so I haven't really read the synopsis of this one yet, but I think it would be fun for me to read. This book is about a shepherd boy named Santiago who is in search of like treasure from pyramids or something. So he like meets a lot of different people, goes to lots of different places, all on this journey to treasure. And I kind of like treasure stories, so I wanted to read this, and also because it has like a lot of European and culture in it, I feel like it'd be kind of fun to dip my toes in it. Either you like him or you don't like him, so I was kind of wanting to. Next, I really love Pride and Prejudice, the movie and the story, so I want to read the book. Now, I heard that Jane Austen is pretty hard to read since she's like from, you know, the Gilded Era, you know, back in the day. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this as well as I want to and understand it as well as I want to. But it's Pride and Prejudice. Like, how do you not want to read this? This and Sense of Sensibility, but I don't have Sense of Sensibility. I need to go get it. But this book is pretty up there. I really want to read Pride and Prejudice. I found this book at a book thrift store. I know it sounds weird, but it's like a store full of old books, and you can sell your books to them. So this book is about a girl named Alicia Monroe, whose father goes missing and disappears, so she becomes like obsessed with lightning. And so one day, she's a news photographer, by the way, so one day she finds a dead body and there's lightning and the body disappears and it only leaves military tags. So now she's left to go on this journey by herself to kind of find out what the heck happened. What in the Doctor Strange are you talking about? On her way, she meets this guy named Michael Cordero. I don't know how you say it, like Antonio Banderas, but Cordero. And they go together, and I mean, it's probably gonna have some romance. It's a mystery, it's a thriller, suspenseful book. But the reason I really want to read it is because it takes place in Miami, and it's a Miami Cuban American story, and that is literally like my community. Like, pretty much everybody in my community is Cuban, so I was like, I want to relate to a book like that. Kind of mysterious, if you ask me. So, I was not reading at 13. I was making musicallys. So, I had this one book in my childhood, and it was this one. And it was so broken and battered, and I loved the story. And I forgot about it until I saw this at the same store that I bought that Cuban American book. So I was like, wait. It's a children's book. Yes, it's a children's book. But just listen to the synopsis, bro. I'm going to read it word for word because this just needs to be read word for word. The family's first home in Minnesota was made of sod, but Pa builds a new clean house beside Plum Creek. The money for materials will come from their first wheat harvest. Then, just before the wheat is ready to harvest, a strange glittering cloud fills the sky, blocking out the sun. Soon, millions of grasshoppers cover the fields and everything on the farm. In a week's time, there is no wheat crop left at all. That's the synopsis. I want to reread it. Literally big letters. I mean, at least in my opinion, they're pretty big letters. It has pictures, yes indeed. But mine as a little girl never had pictures. So here we are, ready to read it again. So I got the Scarlet Letter, which is obviously about adultery. If you're looking for a Puritan book to like fulfill a certain like checkbox on your like lit or rapport, this is Puritan. So I want to read it, but look at this. Scary. And then back to The Turn of the Screw. I did start this book again. See, $3. I knew what I was doing, buying the things. This one is more of like a horror mystery book than Scarlet Letter. It's about like ghosts and children. It says that there's a nanny taking care of these two kids, and she like becomes really obsessed with protecting them, that it becomes harmful to them. And then she kind of like experiences an encounter with like a presence that is evil and sinister. So that sounds fun to me. Definitely want to read this though, like for real. And it seems pretty short, so nice. It's another children's book, but do not come for me. I loved the movie Coraline, so I wanted to read the book. Since I heard the book was different, I found it more intriguing to kind of read the story. Okay, if I read the book, it's kind of like reading two different versions of the same story. So I find that kind of fun, and being able to nitpick and like, oh, but this is what's different in the movie and this is why. And like, I just find something cool about that. So I'm really excited to read this. Here's the cover. Here's the back. Coraline is about a girl who moves to a new house. And in the house, she finds a little door. And the little door leads to the other world, where she finds another mother and another father and other people or other versions of things that she has in her real world. While in her other world, everything seems brighter and more fun, and it's just not real, obviously. So she encounters kind of like a battle for her life in the other world that makes her realize like, oh, but my world is better because this and this and that. So it's kind of like a coming of age, definitely loss of innocence. Like, it just flips perspectives. So I kind of like that stuff. So Coraline is definitely a win for me. Next, we have Tuesdays with Maury. It's about a college student who listens to his dying professor's stories and life. Every Tuesday, it's one class per week, and it's every Tuesday, and he listens to the story, and he, like, it helps him kind of understand, like, the struggles that Maury went through, and just life. It kind of goes through those experiences, the ups and downs of life. The structure of this book is written like letters, like Maury said this and this and this, and that's how it went. Next chapter, a different Tuesday. So I just like the ever-changing kind of narrative in the story, where it just keeps growing, and it like I'm assuming that some of the letters end on like oh, but he never got to finish, he said just come back next Tuesday. So something like that is pretty fun for me. So next we have The Outsiders by Se Hinton. It's about Ponyboy and the gang that he's in with his brothers and his friends and all their little mischievous events. And it's kind of like a coming of age, loss of innocence, because Ponyboy is like maybe 12 or 13. I'm not completely sure, but he's pretty young in the book, so it's kind of like Lastly, I have The Death of Ivan Lich. I want to say that's how you say it, or each, like, I don't know, by Leo Tolstoy. This one was the first one I picked up in Goodwill, like I think it was my first ever book from Goodwill that I found really, really interesting. I'm just gonna read the back this time because I don't really know the story that well. Forgot to put on my blue light glasses to help me read. Hailed as one of the world's supreme masterpieces on the subject of death and dying, The Death of Ivan Lich is the story of a worldly careerist, a high court judge who has never given the inevitability of his dying so much as a passing thought. But one day, death announces itself to him, and to his shocked surprise, he is brought face to face with his own mortality. How, Tolstoy asks, does an unreflective man confront his one and only moment of truth? This short novel was the artistic culmination of a profound spiritual crisis in Tolstoy's life, a 9-year period following the publication of Anna Karenina, during which he wrote not a word of fiction, a thoroughly absorbing and, at times, terrifying glimpse into the abyss of death. It is a strong testament to the possibility of finding spiritual salvation. Oh, it's a spiritual book. It sounds really intriguing. I like the idea of being like the personified death in this story. I kind of find that fun when you personify an emotion, because it brings a greater connection to the character and the emotion together, and it kind of feels more like true. Okay guys, that's it for my book TBR for maybe the next year. I'm just kidding. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to read these. But I'll post one of these TBRs if y'all like them, maybe every once in a while. I'm not completely sure. But let me know down below if you like any of these books, and if you are also wanting to read any of these books, or any books that you would like to recommend to me. If you want to like the video, like the video. If you want to subscribe and stay with us, then stay with me. If not, thanks for joining me today and hanging out, and I'll see you guys next time. I also forgot to mention that my version of Twilight has a pull-out poster, and I got this for $10. All the Jaspers in this one. I'm sorry.